There's always a lot going on in and around the Springfield business community, so it is a pleasure to connect each and every week with Michelle Ownbey, publisher of the Springfield Business Journal, to get a rundown of things you need to know about going on in and around the area. One thing, Michelle, is the Legacy Point Sports Complex. It's been in conversation for a long time. Looks like we're finally going to see some shovels in the ground. Good morning.
Good morning, Greg. Yes, today is a big day for Springfield. 10:30 this morning is the official groundbreaking ceremony for that Shields Sports Park. No word on whether flying pigs will be involved, but I know a lot of people thought they would not live to see this day. So if the developers are to be believed, this will be a game changer for the city of Springfield in terms of economic impact and tourism and all that sort of thing. So certainly it's good news for the city as a whole to finally see this coming to fruition. And, we talked a few weeks ago, the city council just recently had to pass some ordinances dealing with extending the timeframes for the business incentives so that the lenders could get comfortable, because this is a very large scale, long-term kind of thing. And the lenders wanted to make sure that the length of time for those business incentives would match up with their loan terms. But apparently they've gotten all that worked out now.
And obviously, it's going to be considered something driving a lot of hotel stays with young travel sports teams maybe choosing the sports complex here in Springfield once it's all done, with outdoor facilities, but also indoor facilities being planned. And I believe there's some kind of like joint operation between a private sector and the public sector in operating this. Obviously, there's still probably a few things to get into place, but with the shovels going into the ground today at 10:30 outside of Shields, they've got a tent set up. They're going to be able to direct people to, and you can go and attend this groundbreaking ceremony. A lot of people anxiously awaiting to see this thing ultimately come to fruition, but it's been a long time coming, Michelle. And this has been something talked about not just with this Legacy Point complex, but you've got a decade plus ago other ideas of this. So people of Springfield have been waiting a long time for something along these lines.
Right, yes, and it finally seems to be coming to fruition. And speaking of groundbreakings, there's no shovels in the ground, and my understanding is it's not even a done deal yet, but Friday was the last day of operations for Sportsmans Lounge, the neighborhood bar and grill there at the corner of Mason and Rutledge that's existed in some form or another. The building itself dates back to the 1850s, but it's been operating as a neighborhood tavern since the 1930s at least. So favorite watering hole for a lot of folks. And of course, it is slated for demolition to make way for a 24-unit apartment complex. That is a project through the Illinois Housing Development Authority, and it won't even be submitted and approved until the first quarter of next year. So my understanding was originally that they planned to keep that restaurant operating a little longer, but at some point decided to go ahead and wrap things up. So I know I, for one, am definitely going to miss those pork tenderloins. That was my go-to spot.
So yeah, it's funny because if you find a good pork tenderloin somewhere, likelihood of you craving a pork tenderloin, you're going to go back to that place. So obviously, it's a sad story for those who enjoyed Sportsman's Lounge, but looking forward to whatever future is in place for that particular spot of town. Michelle, other things happening in and around the business community, some banking operations in downtown Springfield, looking to change up what's going on with Chase.
Yeah, and this one has a lot of history behind it as well. So much more than just a bank closing a branch. It's been about 4 years since Chase significantly downsized its presence in downtown Springfield. Of course, they originally occupied that enormous Greek Revival style building with the columns and all that there at 6th and Washington on the east side of the street. And 4 years ago, they turned that property over to the Illinois State Treasurer's office, which became the new headquarters, and just moved kitty corner to the 5-story building there at the northwest corner, occupying the lower level. And then they had the second floor as well for some administrative operations. But they just sent out a letter to their customers announcing that they will be closing that branch entirely. They still have a Springfield presence over on Dirksen Parkway, and then they've got a west side location on Greenbrier Drive. But again, that downtown Springfield has been extremely significant. The building there that they left 4 years ago had actually been operating as a bank since the 1830s, and of course that was Abraham Lincoln's family bank. Chase kept the family Lincoln ledger on display even after they moved into their new location. So no word yet on what will become of that.
Fascinating history, and curious to see really the future of banking footprints in general as more and more is done online. So curious if that plays into this or other decisions by other banks to maybe reduce their footprint moving forward. Another story, you've got a retailer who seems to be, opening up some locations, not just in Springfield, but elsewhere nearby. Tell us about Five Below.
Yeah, so we've talked a lot about the impacts of the pandemic on retailers, and we've certainly seen a number of national retailers close up shop here in Springfield over the last couple of years. But Five Below is actually in the midst of an aggressive expansion campaign. They're planning to open about 200 new locations nationwide. They already have a presence on the west side of Springfield in that West White Oak Shopping Plaza. But now they are planning a location for the Capital City Shopping Center off Dirksen, and also for the Lincoln Square Shopping Center in Jacksonville. Both of those locations have banners up saying that they're slated to open later this fall. So construction is already underway.
And just some of the things that the Springfield Business Journal has on their radar, and you can read more about that and a whole bunch more with the Springfield Business Journal. Michelle Ownbey, the publisher. How can people get their hands on the SBJ?
Well, our Biz Bites newsletter comes out every Wednesday afternoon, and that's free of charge. You can go to springfieldbusinessjournal.com and get signed up for that weekly newsletter. And of course, you can also sign up for the expanded print edition. And I'll also mention just yesterday, in fact, we launched a new website for SBJ, so should be a little bit more user-friendly, hopefully, in terms of navigation. But we're excited to get that new website out there.
Very good stuff. Michelle Ownbey, publisher of the Springfield Business Journal. Greatly appreciate your time, and we'll talk again next week.
All right. Thanks, Greg.
It is Springfield's Morning News on 92.7 WMAY, Springfield's News and